The situations portrayed in this program are very dangerous. They have been performed by trained professionals in order to replicate worst-case scenarios of real-life hazards. Viewers should not, under any circumstances, attempt to replicate any of the situations presented in the program. Coming up on House Hazards.
My chainsaw is more dangerous than that.
Flesh and bone become fertilizer in a gardening competition. An army of rabbits gets energized.
Sparking!
And what happens when pest control turns explosive? Home, sweet home. Well, not as sweet as you might think. Your house is really out to get you. There are thousands of hazards hiding in every home, and our team of experts will separate the fiction from the facts so you can avoid domestic meltdown. Scientist Francesca will expose the hidden dangers lurking in every home. Engineer Dan will show you how everyday appliances can turn from labor-saving to life-threatening. And special effects expert Brendan will recreate the worst-case scenario. Lurking behind your walls is an infestation that could lay waste to your dream home. These creatures cause more than $1 billion in property damage every year. And you may not know it's happening until it's too late. They're silent, they breed quickly, and they're adorable.
They are pretty cute. But let's not forget that these bunnies are actually vermin. And that even though you might have them as a pet, they can also sneak into your house through cracks, get behind your walls.
What would happen if these bunnies ran loose in a home?
Once they get comfortable behind your walls, there are two things they like to do. The first is, we know what rabbits like to do. Each litter can produce 10 new rabbits, and the average female can breed up to 12 times a year.
You have 4 bunnies, they can create 80 bunnies within 4 months. I mean, these guys go at it.
Besides making more bunnies, there's another thing they do non-stop. They chew. Because their teeth never stop growing throughout their lives, they must constantly gnaw to keep them filed down. One of their favorite things to munch on? Electrical wiring, like the kind found behind your walls.
Every year, it's rabbits that are blamed for triggering thousands of infernos.
To show how this can happen, the Hazard team has set up an experiment to replicate the perfect conditions for a hair-triggered house fire.
This is a typical situation behind most walls. You have insulation, you have sawdust left over from construction, and you have the wiring. Bunnies get behind the wall. They chew on the wire, wire creates a spark. Spark catches on all of this flammable material that's down here, house goes up before you even know it.
Can we put more than a couple in?
Yeah.
You free little guy.
Cue the infestation. To ensure the bunny's safety, the team has turned off the power to the wires because it's not the electricity itself that attracts the chewing. Rabbits are drawn to the material that coats the wiring behind your walls. When they chew through that, it exposes the copper that conducts electricity. If 2 exposed wires are close enough together, the current can arc, sparking a fire behind the wall. And you may not notice until it's too late.
This is gonna take forever.
You can lead a rabbit to a wire, but you can't necessarily make it bite.
Other than them being ridiculously cute, not a whole lot is happening.
With no cooperation coming from their furry friends, the team needs to rethink their experiment. In the meantime, Dan and Brendan want to show you the dangers of dealing with an infestation of the garden variety. Every year, millions of North Americans use chainsaws and weed trimmers to beat back the plant life growing in their own backyards. But more than 45,000 of them inflict life-threatening injuries to themselves in the process. But which power tool is more likely to cost an inexperienced gardener a trip to the emergency room? To find out, Dan and Brendan are using legs of lamb to stand in for human flesh.
Seriously?
It's my weed cutter.
This is a chainsaw.
Yeah, what? Do you want to be in front of this thing?
Before this, yes.
You're saying that your chainsaw is more dangerous than my weed trimmer?
100% am saying that my chainsaw is more dangerous than that.
A chainsaw engine turns a chain of steel teeth around a guide bar and is designed to saw through any type of wood at around 9,000 RPM. A weed trimmer employs a drive shaft to spin thick nylon strings at speeds of up to 7,000 RPM. A common DIY landscaping solution to make these more durable is to install a steel cable. Exactly what Dan has done to his.
Gentlemen, stir your engine. And cut the meat.
The average consumer chainsaw has at least 2 to 3 teeth per inch and 14 inches of chain. Right now, the chainsaw is outcutting the weed trimmer by a factor of 20.
What's that?
Come on, it made a pretty good dent.
It did make a pretty good dent. That wins.
Clearly, Brendan won that one. The teeth on the chainsaw just sawed through, and the weed cutter barely made a dent.
Let me make one modification. I got one idea.
All right, do I get to make a modification too?
Sure, deal.
Done.
Brendan and Dan are trying to find out which gardening tool is worse for your health. A chainsaw or a weed trimmer? Dan's weed trimmer didn't stand a chance against Brendan's chainsaw. But Dan has an idea of how to make his tool more lethal. A circular saw blade used for thicker shrubs instead of dandelions. Not to be outdone, Brendan is replacing gasoline with aviation fuel to make his saw run faster. It's like adding octane booster to your car's gas tank. It's a risky move that could burn out his engine.
We're rigging the modified chainsaw and weed cutter to the seesaws you see behind me.
No meat this time. Now they'll test their tool's power against something neither were designed to take on: a concrete cinder block.
Your chainsaw's gonna burn out way early. I'm gonna be cutting through this baby like it's butter.
I really don't think so. The teeth are gonna disappear on that in seconds.
That thing will keep going, keep chewing all day.
I really don't think so.
Gonna leave you in the dust.
Brendan, are you ready?
I'm ready.
Dan, are you ready?
I'm ready.
In 3, 2, 1, drop!
By using an 8-inch circular blade, Dan's weed trimmer has almost as many teeth as Brendan's chainsaw, and the tools are now cutting at virtually the same rate. But the thicker blade on Brendan's chainsaw is jamming up in the concrete, putting stress on the supercharged motor. If it keeps getting stuck, it could easily burn out. And just as Brendan's chainsaw starts to smoke, Dan's circular blade breaks through.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have a winner!
Dan's weed trimmer had the power to beat Brendan's chainsaw all along. It just didn't have the right blade. And if it could do this to solid concrete, just think what it could do to your arm.
Dan absolutely made it through 100% before that chainsaw.
Yeah, cutting through cinder block. That's the new one.
I think the losers today are those cinder blocks.
I agree.
Both of our teeth got dull really quick, but that didn't actually matter, because eventually the friction of what was left was grinding away at those cinder blocks, and that's how we got through. You gotta admit, that modification was pretty sick.
If I had to play with a weed cutter, that's the weed cutter I'd like to play with. I still like my chainsaw.
Of course, we all know that power tools aren't things to be taken lightly. But neither are cuddly little bunnies. The team wants to show what could happen if a family of rabbits made lunch out of the electrical system. So far, the rabbits have been less than hungry.
Other than them being ridiculously cute, not a whole lot is happening.
They know that rabbits do chew wires. They're just not chewing these wires. So, Francesca has found a way to make them a bit more enticing.
Rabbit's favorite, carrot juice.
Animal lovers, please note, these wires have no electricity running through them. Yet. Many wires now come with the soy-based coating that rabbits love. Soy-based building products are so popular that 3.4 billion pounds are installed annually. They can be found in your walls, your home electronics, even your car.
They're trying to find something hard to chew on.
Since these wires appear to have a different coating, Francesca hopes the carrot juice does the trick.
Look at, they're all gathering around the wire with the carrot juice on it.
Yeah, that looks pretty tasty to them.
There's certainly a lot more interest, but none of our furry friends wants to be the first one to chomp down. Rabbits tend to eat just before dawn and right after sunset, so maybe they need a little mood lighting.
What if we took off, turned out the lights, give them some time?
Just see what happens if we leave them for a couple hours.
Yeah, maybe overnight.
Okay.
All right.
They're so cute.
Francesca, come on.
Good night, guys.
I don't want to disturb them, so I brought my infrared camera, which will let me see them in the dark. They're not doing a whole lot. Huddled together, and they're actually pretty relaxed. This isn't working. Guys, can we hit the lights? So putting the rabbits in there didn't do anything, and then leaving them overnight didn't do anything, so we got to think of something else.
By the next morning, the team is sure that some progress has been made. After all, it's a proven fact that these critters love to chew on wires.
Doesn't seem to be doing much.
But, you know, for a while there, it looked really promising, but they seem to have just kind of settled in.
In reality, an infestation takes weeks or months before creating the conditions for an electrical fire. So, to speed things up, Brendan has a plan.
I got an idea. Let's get these stupid bunnies out of here. We'll put in some fake bunnies. I don't want any more cute furry bunnies. I'm not here for cute.
The situations portrayed in this program are very dangerous. They have been performed by trained professionals in order to replicate worst-case scenarios of real-life hazards. Viewers should not, under any circumstances, attempt to replicate any of the situations presented in the program. Rats. They bite, they carry disease, and are one of the most unwelcome invaders in your home. In New York City alone, it's said that there are 32 million rats, 4 times the human population. It's no surprise that homeowners would search for the easiest way to get rid of them. Francesca is setting up an experiment to show how building a better rat trap can end up with the homeowner getting burned. Designed to be a more humane way of eliminating rodents than the conventional spring-loaded variety, this trap delivers an electric shock that kills rats instantly. But can this device actually be a hazard to you in your home? To find out, Francesca is setting up an obstacle course in the garage filled with common flammable products found in most homes.
This is the fun part.
Using a remote-controlled rat, she wants to find out if the trap can cause a fire under the right circumstances.
What is this?
This is an obstacle course. It's for a rat to run through, get covered in nail polish remover, paint thinner, lighter fluid. Every flammable fluid that would normally be in a household and end up in an electric rat trap. I have cut out the sides so we can see what actually goes on inside.
Can I help?
Electrical traps are rectangular boxes that lure rats onto a pressure plate. Once the pressure plate is depressed, the trap delivers an electric shock that stops the rat's heart instantly. But this current has the potential of creating an electric spark that can ignite flammable fumes or liquids on the rat inside.
If you want to help, you can sit at the end and have lighter fluid and rubbing alcohol. And when the fake rat goes by, I want you to douse it right before it goes in the zapper.
I can do that. Release the rat!
All right, buddy. Don't make me look bad. Oh, look what's happening now. The rat's on his way.
This is the world's laziest rat.
As the rat makes its way through the obstacle course, its fur is getting soaked by the spilled flammable products. And hey, rats have been known to knock things over, like maybe a can of lighter fluid. That's what Brendan's adding for good measure.
Oh, rat. All right. Careful now. That trap is on and he's getting hotter right now. There's current traveling through your little rat boy. And there we have it.
Within a few seconds of entering the trap, the flammable liquids catch a spark from the electric pad. Because this trap is in the garage, there are plenty of flammable liquids around to ignite. It's easy to see how a flame like this one could quickly spread and cause an entire house to go up in flames.
Eee! This is genuinely a real hazard, and I may have created more of a dangerous situation than I imagined.
The flaming electric rat trap. Maybe not the most common occurrence, but a plausible one? Absolutely. To be safe, make sure your electric traps or anything else with an electric charge stays far away from flammable liquids. Now, back to our bunnies. The team has been trying to get the rabbits to nibble on the wires behind the wall. So far, the rabbits haven't inflicted the damage necessary to cause a fire. Time for a change of strategy.
Let's get these stupid bunnies out of here. We'll put in some fake bunnies.
Besides, we don't want to harm any cute, fuzzy bunny rabbits.
Perfect.
Brendan has decided to enlist the services of a few mechanical stand-ins for the real rabbits. These stunt bunnies are great, but they can't do everything. Since they can't chew the wires, Brendan is making a few cuts to expose the wires behind the wall, just like a real rabbit would. The right conditions have finally been recreated. They've got chewed wires and plenty of debris behind the walls to act as kindling. A very real situation in many homes around the world. All that's left to do now is turn on the power.
I think it's fair to say that my friends were missing one important thing in this whole setup: patience. Had we left the bunnies in there for a little bit longer, without a question, they would have eaten through that wire. That being said, I'm kind of on board with them now, and I'm ready to blow this wall down. I think it's time.
Excellent. Are you guys ready?
We are so ready.
All right, Francesca, here we go. And I hate bugs, but getting rid of them can be more hazardous than it looks. Insect foggers contain chemicals plus flammable accelerants. In an enclosed space, a single spark can cause an explosion.
The total release fogger, known as the bug bomb, is a common way to fumigate a home for insects. These cans, along with careless operation, are responsible for 500 house fires every year in the US. Here's what happens when you set off just one in an enclosed space, and the fumes come into contact with the flame source, like your oven's pilot light. With only a spark, it could be more than just bugs that light up. The Hazard team is about to show how an infestation of rabbits or any other gnawing vermin can pose incredible danger to your home. They've got frayed, chewed up wires and a lot of sawdust and debris behind the wall.
Are you guys ready?
Yeah, we're ready.
The stunt bunnies are in position, ready to take the charge. All that's left to do switch on the power.
All right, here we go.
Sparking. Oh, there it goes.
Perfect.
There we go. We've got a fire inside our wall.
The fire behind the wall is obviously going strong, but the greater hazard might be what can't be seen on the other side.
Nothing is going on this side.
Wouldn't know.
We know we've got a fire on this side, and we definitely have a hazard in our house, right?
Yeah.
However, we can't see it on this side. But you can see with the thermal imaging camera that you definitely have a fire going on. You can see the smoke and the fire on the other side of the wall, even though that when you're actually looking at it, doesn't look like anything.
The only thing that is giving us any sort of hint that there is a fire going on back here is the smoke that's coming out of that socket. Other than that, we would have no clue that there's a huge fire on the other side of this wall.
Your entire wall could be smoking and you wouldn't even know it.
It's an absolutely fathomable situation. You have bunnies that get into the wall, nip through those wires. It was a matter of minutes and that entire wall was burning from behind. The creepiest part was the fact that we could stand beside that wall and have no clue that there was a fire growing by the minute behind that wall.
By the time it does come through that drywall, it's too late.
It's too late.
You've lost your house.
To prevent this situation from happening in the first place, it's important to have your home checked regularly for pests.
Note to self, no vermin in the walls.
No rabbits.
No.
No rabbits in the walls.
Uh-uh.